Why would people buy a BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé instead of a BMW 3 Series sedan? This question here we'll solve here today with Thomas, an Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the new BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé, which is the entry to the world of BMW in the sedan segment. So the smallest and cheapest one in the US actually. In the EU we would also have the 1 Series, which builds on the very same platform. This here is also the M235. This is the new performance model, the strongest engine here, soon more about the horsepower. Then you can see here, this is also equipped with the, let's say, most sinister look. And then you can see it have all the way blacked out the grille, then the horizontal fins in there. You can now also get an illuminated front grille. That's available as an option. Option also matrix LED. This is also the US spec vehicle. We are also in the US here for you today in South Carolina. And this color here is Borasan Turkish blue, a very bright blue. I love it, you know, it just screams out. And I think it's great when these vehicle colors are also decisive. Length here is 4.55 meters or 179 inches. That means it's about 16 centimeters shorter or 6 inches shorter than the BMW 3 Series. And the wheelbase difference is even 18 centimeters or 7 inches. And that, in the driving dynamics, of course, speaks for this one here. When you have shorter wheelbase, you have better driving dynamics. And what you can also see here in the front hood is shorter because this one here is housing 3 and 4 cylinder engines. Northern American market, only 4 cylinders. Whereas with the BMW 3 Series, you could also house the 6 cylinder engines, and they're also put in longitudinal, whereas here it's the transverse mount of the engine. And that means that you also do not lose so much space on the interior. However, then you do not have a rear wheel focus. This one here is a front wheel platform, but then there are also all-wheel drive models, like the entry model in the US, and also here this 235. This one here is also all-wheel drive. You will not get the rear wheel bias, however you have a limited slip differential in the front that also reduces this effect and so on. Towards the rear they have reworked the rear end of the vehicle to make it appear a little bit slimmer actually. Here modern tail lamp signature, and you also see that the eye is missing behind the M235 because they use that one for the electric vehicles now and they don't want to confuse it with the combustion engines. Here we have the contrast also with the upper lip. This is also equipped with the Tech Pack Pro, so this has additional stiffening measures underneath the vehicle, for example. So this is the sportiest how you can spec this vehicle. In the lower part also more black accentuations here and real visible exhaust pipes. 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks pretty cool, and I'm really looking forward to how this one here also sounds in the US spec. We'll also talk about that. Let's move on to the engines. So in the EU, you'll have 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engines as well. That one you do not have here in the US. There you directly start with the 2 liter 4-cylinder engines. Front-wheel drive will also be the entry-level version. All-wheel drive is available, and the 235. This is 2 liter 4-cylinder as well. And then with either 300 horsepower in the EU, 317 horsepower here in the US spec, a little bit more. This dome strut here, by the way, you already get in the normal M Sport package. So, and then the additional stiffening measures either in the 235, and then on top this Tech Pack, then you get it as stiff as possible, so to speak. And then the more you push, the more power is also sent to the rear wheels. Wheels from 17 to 19 inch, and these are the biggest 19-inch wheels. These are, in this case, also the special forged lightweight wheels. The acceleration figure for this one here, by the way, is 4.9 seconds in the EU, 4.7 seconds the miles per hour figure to 60 miles per hour, so already pretty quick. Weight-wise, by the way, is not a big difference if you, for example, compare now like a 330i X-Drive or something like that. This one is here, as it stands right here, only like 20 kilograms lighter or something like that. So this is not a big difference between 2 Series and 3 Series. Here, the turning indicators have this pulsing effect. Looks pretty cool. Some like it, some don't. Yeah, but that's what they offer here, and why not being a little bit different, so to speak. As for suspension, it's also interesting. You get a base suspension. And if you go for an M Sport Pack or here the M235, you get the M Sport suspension, which then comes with frequency adaptive dampers, giving you a wider span between comfort and sportiness without being actively changeable. So you cannot adjust it with the driving modes. They always, rule in a certain spectrum then with hydraulic cushions. So yeah, that's actually good that you can combine sportiness and comfort a little bit better. And if you then have here the M235, this whole setup is even a little bit stiffer. If you then add this special tech pack, it's even a little bit stiffer, so you can go from soft to stiffest. And the turning indicators here on the outside in the US spec, they look less spectacular here in the red. If we would have the EU spec, where you also have the yellow, it's definitely more visible. Yeah, it's a thing I can't really understand from the US regulations. I think yellow turning indicators are always better visible, and you can more differentiate between the braking light and also the turning indicators. Yeah, but that's how it is, like, you know, for a very long time. At the end of the review, we will also talk about pricing, but one thing also in advance, because the price difference between a 2 Series and the 3 Series in the entry, for example, in the North American market, is always like about 5,000 to 6,000 euros. So indeed, it is less expensive. That would be another argument why you would go here for the 2 Series. Of course, the counter argument is that the 3 Series is a rear-wheel biased platform, so you can get rear-wheel drive only models, and if you have the all-wheel drive, it is still always rear-wheel biased with the 3 Series. Interior with this key fob here with the M colors in the 235, then door closing sound is not too good, honestly.
Really? I like it.
You like it? Okay, Leah likes it. I don't, but you see, it's also a matter of preference. Yeah, because here we have frameless doors. That's also the special thing. It's a coupe officially, and like the frameless doors usually don't sound that good. Leah likes it, yeah. But what about you? What you hear here on camera? Then here, inside of the doors, the top part is, let's say, structured but quite hard. Then it's a little bit softer here. Also then here, softer for your elbow. Optional Harman Kardon sound system. No felt cover at the inside here, however.
But
oh yeah, this
nice
entry sill
badge.
is covered here with the badge. And then interesting piece here. So it's like with a three-dimensional cutting out technology. It's a real metal piece, so beautiful job. Also ambient lighting behind it. M Sport steering wheel, it's like in the M Sport package or here in the M235. The base steering wheel would also be animal-free actually. Real buttons also at the steering wheel, so nice to control. Seats here always without animal material. Base fabric, then you have a sport seat, you have here microfiber available, for example. You have also full leatherette available. And this one here, you can see it on both seats, this is the M Sport seat, so the third seat in the row. And this one has like the hole here, inspired by racing background. You know, we used to have like real racing seats, you put the seatbelt through it, but this is just the visual part then. And here with integrated head restraints, there's the microfiber, and also then it shines through like the M colors from behind. Pretty cool. And this one thing actually, the seating comfort for a compact vehicle is very good. And I feel also that the base ergonomic of the seats can be better than in the 3 Series. So I sit very well here, and these sport seats here, they cage you in more, but leave you enough space, and they're also really like, you know, embracing you here at the shoulder area. The base seats and the normal sport seats, they would be a little bit more open each. And with 189, 6'2", still have some headroom left. Although this ceiling here in the US spec version is a little bit lower due to different crash test issues. Interior cockpit overview. Here we also have handmade stitches here. So like stitched with the machine, but with the machine by hand, you know what I mean? And also again, this real metal piece right here. So actually quite extensive individual work for this vehicle. New cockpit here also, all digitalized, one curved display, but 2 individual screens then here. And for these sport seats here, by the way, the M Sport seat, you can also make the lower part a little bit longer. In the middle part here, adaptive cup holders, that's good to have definitely. Then you have an inductive charging pad, which is also ventilated. Another place to put your phone here, but that's really shallow. 2 USB-C chargers, integrated shifting lever. You always have dual clutch transmissions in here. This is also different than to the 3 Series. And here, this middle armrest could be maybe a little bit softer, but it's, I think, still fine. Oh, I got just like a tiger mosquito, just that biting. And then here, some space underneath. There we go. And yeah, it's actually quite sporty seating position already. And the steering wheel is pretty thick. And look at that here. Really, really large shifting pedals. Driver POV here with the buttons here. This is, for example, for the cruise control. Then you can see here the digital instruments. You can have a map view inside, and this then here, for example, the RPM on the right side, left side speed. You can also get a head-up display, which we see right there. And then the climate functions are actually here. So in the screen, yeah, you know, I prefer always to have physical dials. What's interesting here, ambient lighting wise, so when I use minus or plus, then it's also shown here in the ambient lighting, warmer or colder. Yeah, why not? It's a very interesting feature for sure. Other than that, you also have a car internal GPS with the BMW testing center here in Spartanburg today, or also going back here, this is like the home menu. You can set it yourself, and this is like the map view, but like this main menu. And Apple CarPlay and Auto, of course, always available wireless. Rear seats, first of all, here also structure here. Can you somewhat soft here on the top part, just hardback in the lower part actually. Then it also opens wide enough. Let's take it that way. Then also here in this case the microfiber seats, and interesting also that here the head restraints, you can fold them up on demand. Otherwise, when you don't need the rear ones, then you fold them down. You have a better view to the rear. Then we can fold this one down here for cup holders with some rubber lips. This is also a ski hatch you can fold down to reach through. In the middle part, 2 USB-C chargers now, and there's still a middle tunnel, of course, because also the all-wheel drive models. And then as for the space we have here, first of all, headroom. This is the thing about the US version. There is this crash safety thing that there needs to be a crash test for rear passengers if they don't use the seat belt. So, and because that exists, you have less headroom in the US version. So you would have a little bit more headroom in the European version of that one. So here for me with 189 6x2, it gets really close. There's, by the way, also a version available with panoramic roof that would also exist. Legroom wise, the thing is here, the M Sport seats, they are a little bit thicker. So with the base seats, I think it should be a little bit better. And then if you put it a little bit higher, then the knees can fit better into this recess. So it is close, definitely. But the thing is that, for example, a 3 Series would not offer like more legroom, because there you lose the length rather due to the front hood. Trunk or boot, here, let's take a look at 430 liters. Cabin trolley also fits in like this, and here is like a meter of 40 inches in width, and the length, we fold something here, so it's almost a meter of 40 inches. Then here 2/3, 1/3 split, or the middle part with the ski hatch can also be folded down, and the height is here at 46 centimeters or 18 inches. And this is interesting here, this lower part you can fold up like this and even further like that, for example. And this is also like goes from left to right. So in that way, underneath it, it's also better usable than with the 3 Series, if you will. And the total length then to the seat as I would be driving is here at about 180 or 71 inches. That's quite decent for this length. Launch control. So that was 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour from 0. You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leah is all right.
So much fun.
And now we're here on a test track, so that's like a racetrack, so to speak. We're in the sport mode, and this is at the same time also set to a Sport Plus. Accelerate out. We don't want to drive over some birdos. Here we go, high speed again. Yeah, it's really nice and smooth acceleration. There we go. And once again, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Yeah, it's not that loud from the wind noise. A little bit here from the side mirrors, and that's the thing here again about the M Sport Pack, or if you have the M235. It is louder from these side mirrors here at higher speeds. That's just the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's because of this aerodynamic form, and then you just have the issue that it is actually louder. So, a base 2 Series Gran Coupé would be less loud from these side mirrors. That's very interesting, isn't it? Steering feel is actually really precise and direct. We can also use the straight for that to show that to you. Here, left and right. And I feel it's a better steering input than in the 3 Series. You know, here we can also like test some lane changes, for example. It's really great in left and right, right? It's like, is it fun or is it annoying? No, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, like the seats are holding us really tight. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, acceleration, they are, like, say, more extreme performance car. Oh, nice. When I go off the throttle, then plop, 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 plop from this exhaust. So really nice indeed. So they are more extreme performance cars. Let's take it that way. But the cool thing about this here, even though it doesn't have like the most extreme acceleration, the dynamics, you know, like left and right, is really good. So here's not too much weight, doesn't push me out of the corner. Really nice feeling for the steering here. I can very well follow the track here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's nice. Of course, I would wish for a little bit more punch when going, you know, out of the corner. Yes, that's true. But still, it's really about like the driving fun. And I really have to say, it is more driving fun going left and right than in the 3 Series. The only thing is, like, when you accelerate out of a corner, that is then more fun in a rear-wheel biased vehicle, because here you have like this front wheel acceleration, but then also power is sent to the rear wheels. You know, it depends a little bit. You don't have too much understeering because of this differential in the front, so that's not the bad thing, and you are still always in control of that steering as well. So that's not a problem actually. It's just that you don't feel a rear wheel bias. That's not happening, you know. Here I can also be a little bit tighter in the corner, but it's really stable in these corners as well, and it does exactly what I want. Feels light here when I go on the throttle, then out of the corner. Yeah, it's really nice. Love that. So much fun to drive actually. Pretty cool, and it's good to have this high-speed track here that we can show you the full speed potential also in a legal way, you know, to 20 kilometers an hour. And also we have these performance brakes here. They're doing a good job, really fine dosing of these brakes here. Yeah, I just love that. So it's like driving wise, we already had that in the 135i, for example. Let's see, I drive that corner a little bit tighter now, for example. It is a driving machine and it's so much fun here. A lot of G-forces we have here, like pulling out. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? I really love that. So it's so much driving fun, definitely here. And of course, some road driving. Yeah, nice acceleration onto the motorway, or just normal road here. Just personal mode, you know, and you don't need to put it in the sport mode. The thing is always, of course, here, picking my modes, and then you have to confirm here to go to the sport mode, for example. Then here also the ESC is drawn back. If you have set it to plus, sport plus, we had set it to sport plus everything. Yeah, but most of the time you can just stay in the personal mode, and that's it actually. You can also use the shifting pedals here, shift back yourself here. It's also really, you know, wide, easy to shift and so on. Or you can use here lower part for the S shifting mode. That is, for example, when you're doing some alpine passes, you know, so windy corners and everything. It will not be better in the acceleration. The best acceleration you will have just when it was also a nice blue color for the Q3 there in the front. So when you are in the just in the sport mode and leave this, 4 Series convertible. I'm not sure you guys can see it on camera because it's like a little bit to the right, but there's a nice blue 4 Series convertible. It's like a M440i as well, yeah. So normal sport mode, not changing the shifting mode. That is the best for the actual acceleration, actually. So because when you are in this S shifting mode, the RPMs are kept higher, but that doesn't really mean that you have the most correct shifting point, you know what I mean? Yeah, and most of the time you just stay in the personal mode because you also have the good acceleration there in most situations when you just use the pin down. The suspension will not change because you have here the M Sport suspension with the frequency adaptive dampening. Overall, you get the effect that you have sportiness and comfort in a like wider span. Let's take it that way, without that you actively change something right here. And so far, it's not too stiff, although we have 19-inch wheels here. Yeah, but if you want more comfort, you would not go for this 19-inch wheel spec overall. So that's always the thing. You can more vary in the wheel choices, I feel, here. When you're going over some treacherous joints, for example, then you do feel that. And that's also a difference to the 3 Series. If you would have the adaptive suspension in the BMW 3 Series, it brings a little bit more calmness and comfort to it. This one you feel let's say it's the younger BMW. It has more sportiness. It's stiffer from the suspension, doesn't even out that much. In the 3 Series, it's also actively adaptive. It changes according to the driving mode. So that is basically 2 things speaking about the 3 Series. Rear bias and also the adaptive suspension is more comfortable. Here you have just more stiff here, like the road is not that well done. Has a lot of brakes in it and so on. And there you feel it. So to me, you have like this really distinctive sportiness, but maybe I would wish for a little bit more comfort, But I feel it would also already be better if you stick with 18-inch wheels. The 19-inch wheels, of course, look awesome, but I feel they cost you a little bit too much comfort. Or do you think, Leah? What would you?
I agree.
You agree? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. On the other hand, of course, the car is not moving much, to the left and the right. And that's actually also then good for the passenger. We also experienced that on the track. You want to drive first? No? So what we experienced on the track is that it's really good for the passenger. And that speaks always for the vehicle if passenger princess stays really calm and happy and satisfied and actually like that. So that's pretty cool for that one actually. Yeah, and it's really fun to drive it in everyday driving life. At the same time, the seats are also quite comfortable. Here, of course, the M Sport seats, they are keeping you tighter. On the track, it's awesome. In normal everyday driving, I would maybe say that the normal sport seat or even the base seat gives you a little bit more freedom to move around, and you maybe not necessarily need the extra sportiness. Yeah, here we feel that you have this rather stiff suspension. Yeah. But it's really, especially after driving it in an agile way and also then testing here the everyday comfort, then it becomes more and more likely and makes more sense why people would go intentionally for a 2 Series Gran Coupé and not maybe for a 3 Series, because the most obvious choice is just going classic 3 Series, and I think we could bit by bit, exterior, interior, and also with the driving show you why it can actually still make sense to give that, Here, assisted driving, it's mainly used for the highway and stuff, but it does already work here, like that. So it's even keeping the car in the lane here if you're not on the motorway. And so all the assistance systems are also quite sophisticated, of course, still level 2, but here, look at that. I'm not steering the car at the moment, just for testing purposes. Yeah, flawlessly done in that respect as well. Pricing on the US market, 39 to 49,000 US dollars, couple of thousand US dollars more with some extras and so on. And then you are in a region, also acceleration-wise, between a 330i and an M340i, and already have a quite nice performance car. European price, Germany, for example, 37,000 euros up to 60,000 euros. Then add a couple of thousand euros extra. So you see this, as it stands here right now, is way more expensive on the German market. Then we also have lower entry-level versions with a 3-cylinder and so on. So yeah, once again, although this one is one of the BMWs that is not built in the US, it's built actually in Germany, in Leipzig, special plant that's also using more renewable energies and so on. This one is still, once again, way cheaper in the US because car prices are just way, way cheaper there. Although this one here, gets another import tax here before it arrives in the States. Very interesting. So to conclude, between the 2 Series and the 3 Series, yes, the 3 Series has this rear wheel setup. This one is a front wheel bias platform, but then all-wheel drive. With this vehicle, you hardly feel the front wheel bias. Gotta say though that a 3 Series suspension-wise can bring more calmness and more comfort into the whole game, because this compact platform here, this is usually rather a little bit rough as for suspension, so you have to like that sporty approach. Then again, this one 5,000-6,000 euros or euros always less expensive, so you can get better deals, better rates here for this vehicle. It is shorter, so better to park in and out. Yet at the same time, you do not lose space on the interior because the front hood is actually shorter, and the driving dynamics is actually quite good here, when you're going left and right. And I would actually say that this one is actually more fun to drive, in the dynamics left and right than a 3 Series. So that could speak for it. And especially a younger target group always appreciate this kind of more design-oriented coupe design, whereas the 3 Series is showing more this classic sedan styling. After all, it's a matter of preference, but I think we never had like this approach to the vehicle. I was always asking myself, like, why do they actually still do that? But now, as we dug deeper into this topic, I can now very well understand it. And the comfort, for example, on the seats is also very good. So sometimes I feel that the front seats are even a little bit better here in the 2 Series than in the 3 Series. So these here are all the arguments why you could also consider it. What do you think? Tell me your comment here about 3 Series against 2 Series. 235i we had here today, and of course you can check it now out, the 1 Series we get in Europe, the hatch, or then directly our latest 3 Series review.